Kevin Hale giving it to you on this Sunday night, January 15th, 2017, doing a round of sports shots live via Blog Talk Radio. Tonight's panel, Heather Tungate is our honorary Shooting from the Lip personality. Heather, what's up?
Good evening. You know what? My son, during his game tonight, shot a 3, and I wanted to punch him in the face, except for he actually made it. It's weird. I don't know what to do here.
You want to punch him in the face? You
not
realize
really. That is not his game.
Oh.
It's not his game. It's not. But he made one. It was weird. I don't know what to do with that.
All right. You just kind of have to live with it.
I know.
Daryl Foust. Yeah, Daryl Foust, co-host of Kentucky Women Talk Sports, 970 AM. The Answer, the voice of L1C4, being funny. Daryl, what's up?
What's up, Kevin? You know, we've done shots together every weekend since 2017 has begun, right?
Exactly.
This is the third weekend in a row.
I know. I don't want it to get old. I don't. So.
No, it's trending for a reason.
Exactly. Now, keeping things fresh tonight, I reached out to who I thought would be a personality to join us, Mandy Lemond. She's a former TV reporter, producer. She has connections, if you will, to a certain very popular, well, probably the most popular, probably the most popular University of Kentucky sports show. Mandy, welcome to
What do you mean
show.
Connections? What are you saying connections there? You mean I'm sleeping with one of the co-hosts? Is that what you're saying there? Is that what you're saying, connections there?
I was thinking it. You said it. So let's give a shout out. Let's give a shout out to our guy Ryan. I'm a Ryan fan, so it's all good. But
good deal. Good deal.
I'm very confident that you'll come on and actually, Daryl, Heather. Let's just throw this out there. Based on the messenger conversation, I think tonight. I think we'll have a good time tonight. So.
I hope so.
Yeah. All right. Let's jump right in. First shot of the night, barring the one that we all did after I used the word First shot, college football championship. It was this past week. Clemson took down the favored Crimson Tide of Alabama, 35-31. Heather, start with you. What was your take on Clemson pulling off the win?
You know what? For Clemson to overcome a 2-score deficit to win, I mean, again, if you go back to last week's show, I kind of thought this was going to be a good game. But you know what? Where Clemson won this game to me was in the trenches. Their defensive line not only, consistently had, they had.
Shot.
Oh my God, what is the word I'm looking for? No, not shots at all. But you know what? They consistently pressured Jalen Hurts, and again, and we talked about this last week that not only did they win in the trenches, but I mean that I don't know what to say, but other than that, they beat Alabama at their own game plan. It just it was what it was.
Daryl, you being a Louisville supporter, Louisville voice, an ACC personality, if you will. You were very upfront that you really didn't have an interest in seeing Clemson win. They did go in and win. Does Clemson, this win, do something about the prestige of the SEC dominance?
Oh, yeah, and I like that Heather mentioned last week, because remember when we were making our predictions, we each said like a 4 or 5 point difference, but it was like the tenths that were the difference. I think, Heather, you were right. It was in the 30s, but I can't remember which way either of us went. I can't remember if
we all said Alabama would win by 4 is what I think we all agreed.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
So we went Clemson's way, right? And like we talked about, Alabama got off to a hot start, couldn't come that. But Clemson just showed so much perseverance. Like, of course, it was this Deshaun Watson show again. He had an incredible game. He got this title, this ring. Hopefully their fans will shut up about not winning the Heisman. anytime soon, but we'll see about that. But when you have at least 4 receivers, almost 100 yards each, how are you going to beat a team that does that? It was exciting. It was down to the last 6 seconds, literally. There was still this point in the game that I thought Nick Saban would be able to pull it off because it's Nick Saban. But once it did finally happen, there was this kind of like, oh, that was cool. That was fun to watch. A part of me didn't want Clemson to win still because I think they're dirty. We saw, the video of how their players treat opposing teams when they visit. It's just weird kind of stuff like that and how they defend themselves and justify it. However, with, all the things going on with, same-sex kind of issues, and if a gay person was out there doing that sort of thing, it would be weird. But so, playing like that, the justification for me is that the national champions are coming to Louisville next year, and Louisville got a piece of that paycheck when they won the title this year. And 2017 is off to a hell of a start on the championship games. If it was anything like last year, we're off to quite a start.
Yeah,
I totally agree. Mandy, your take on your take on Monday night.
I think it came down to literally 6 minutes. This game was a 6-minute game, 6 minutes and 4 seconds. It came down to just that. I mean, Clemson scored in 4 minutes, and then it came down to another 2-minute play, and then it came down to 4 seconds. It was one of those things where it came. I think anyone who was watching this game, you could have flipped it into the last quarter and watched it and realized, okay, this was a game that everyone needed to see. And I don't think it was a matter of the ACC or, playing over the SEC winning over anyone else, or it's just one of those things where it came down to the best team won in that moment. It wasn't one of those things where the SEC was being down or anyone winning over the SEC. It was one of those things where the best team won in that moment. And it was a 6-minute game. It wasn't someone who came out playing their best few minutes. It was literally just a few minutes of time and the best people winning in those few minutes.
That's a good take. And you obviously this championship game was a repeat of last season, and actually last season's game or last year's game. Bama won by 4 points. So there's something about the whole 4 thing, which Daryl, that's our favorite number. You'll tell me why yours is, and I'll tell you why mine is later as well. So, but Clemson, obviously, the underdog, Heather, obviously could play the revenge factor or whatever. But Clemson this year, with the talent they're a legit team. Dabo, legit coach. They took it to Alabama, and to put 35 points on a Alabama defense, it says a lot about Clemson. Clemson won the game. It wasn't like either, Alabama lost it. Clemson just made the right plays at the right time, and thus Andy's 6-minute, take. So.
Yeah,
Alabama's defense is super strong. I mean, they really are super strong, and that's something that we've got to give them. But Clemson just came up with a better ball handling that night.
Yeah, and you know what? She's right. I mean, and by the way, Clemson's tough D-line stance, it didn't matter, what Alabama threw at them on the offensive side of the ball. Clemson always had an answer, and that was the difference in the game, hands down.
Daryl, your final take with Clemson, and you probably know this better than the rest of us. They lose quite a bit from this championship team. So the expectation right away is that Clemson will not start the season as one of the contenders for the title. But in fairness, the ACC is a pretty strong football league right now.
Right. Well, if you want me to, piggyback off that idea, when you win the title, I think it's a you look at the bigger picture. You look at how much work was put into the team and the goals that they wanted to achieve. Deshaun Watson is a product of, the college football game. He grew into his role, and at the end of it, he was crowned champion. And I think MVP too of the playoff game. Is that correct? Right. Yeah. So you look at this game and what it says about the ACC. We've all been waiting to have that conversation of who will take down the SEC. will it happen? And when we went from the BCS system to the college football system, that was the mentality that we were trying, or the goal we're trying to achieve. A couple of numbers that I saw just from the season alone, ACC went 10-4 against the SEC, and then 9-3 in bowl games. And then they produced a national champion. Florida State did well for themselves, and Louisville kind of flopped, but they'll still be there next year with the Heisman winner. They had a lot of attention this year, and it's really exciting. I think, and then with the NFL playoffs going on right now and the style that they do, it's like win or lose, you go home. It's not opinion based; it's all numbers that get you from here to there. Right. I think we're approaching this glass ceiling that we've built for football, and we want to see where we can take it. And it's fun to be a part of, I think, for everybody. I mean, even Kentucky's getting a lot of recognition with the NFL Bud Dupree in the Steelers game right now. You seen him right now, Heather?
I do.
Yeah.
They mentioned Kentucky out there, and then they mentioned Louisville a couple times. The recruiting won't stop. It's just a cycle. I mean, every single year they're building for the next, and we don't see all the behind-the-scenes work, but it's there.
Yeah.
Good point. Mandy, finish this segment off. Alabama, though they lost this game, they'll reload for next year, and they actually,
even from Lexington, we've got Jedrick Wills coming, who I have kind of watched growing up. My oldest son is the same age as Jed, and Jedrick is humongous, and he is such a defensive line. He is huge, and he's going to be amazing. And just remember that name. He's somebody who's up and coming, who Alabama has recruited out of Lexington, who is coming down to Alabama. They're not only going to rebuild, but they're going to once again become paramount. And this was, like I said, they caught him on a bad night. I mean, and I'm not a huge Clemson fan, as you can tell. I'm 100% SEC. It was just a fluke, 100% a fluke. And I'm going to throw in KSR for a second. The guys over there, we've discussed this, and they have 100% indicated to me that this was just a bad incident for them. I mean, literally, this came down to, like I said, this was 4 seconds that this game came down to. I mean, a lot can happen. You can fart in 4 seconds if it comes down right to it. And that's what this boiled down to, is a 4-second play that ended up costing these kids this game. And that's what it boiled down to, was 4 seconds that cost these guys this national championship. And that's what it was. But as for them coming up in the next coming years, I mean, they've got a lot coming up. So, I mean, they've got a lot of people coming in, especially from this area. The recruiting is on the up and up, so I'm not worried about the SEC whatsoever. Even Kentucky's looking better. For God's sake, we went to a bowl game. So
bowl game, recruiting is picked up. But, actually, Heather, Daryl, I think she's right about the 4-second thing. Now, if I incorporate pull my finger and then the whole process, that's about 4 seconds. So I think she's right. She's right.
I'm telling you, 4 seconds.
4 seconds. 4. There it is again. There. 4. All right. Shot number 2. Shot number 2, and I'll start with Daryl. UConn women's basketball team broke their previous record. They won their 91st consecutive game yesterday, breaking their mark from 2010, obviously, which was 90 wins. So basically, in 6 years, this team has monopolized the whole women's game. They've won, crazy amount of games. Everybody is playing for second place. These are my takes. And that we actually kind of talked about this on a previous show. But one, I'm going to throw this, the question is this good for the women's game? And two, to piggyback on that question, last week, they played a top 20 team, whatever the hell rankings are these days. But no, I guess in January rankings, a 20 ranking should kind of be legit. But they beat that team by 40 plus points. I mean, they're separating themselves constantly from the pack, where everybody else is playing for the silver. The gold is already locked up. Daryl, good, bad, indifferent for the game.
Kevin, I fell asleep while you were talking about all of that. It was last week we mentioned this. We talked about this last week, and I said the same thing. I'm bored. But I wanted to get your personal opinion too. If this was the men's game and it was Kentucky doing it, how would you feel?
That's a good question.
What would be the appropriate measures?
Well, first of all, the real truth is that it would not happen in the men's game because there are too many. There's a lot of UConns on the men's side. Kentucky, Duke, you got all these blue bloods. Count Louisville too, Kansas. You got all these teams that have their say so with 5-star players. UConn, I don't even think Gino has to go on a recruiting trip these days. I think he can pack his ass on the beach, have his assistants text him after he gets the commitment from one of those 5-star players. He has carte blanche to every great female player out there every year. So I don't think it's good. I do think it's boring too. So
no, yeah, I don't think it's good, but I also don't know what.
I think you're crazy. I think you're crazy.
Well, Mandy, go ahead, jump in.
I think it's parent. I think I don't know if it's because I am still that woman at heart who wants equal rights and whatnot and wants everyone to show us as equal. But I think the more to the forefront that we bring women's sports to the forefront and show that we have the precedents that we can set these numbers, then it says something. Even if it is a 91st win. And it puts us a long line. Any time that you can put women's sports to the forefront, and I know it has that word woman there, any time that you can do that and bring it to the forefront, it says something. And I know that it's boring and we're saying that it's the 91st win, it's the 92nd win, but any time that you can do that, I think it says something. And let's be realistic about this. When's the last time we talked about women's sports if it didn't have Pat Summitt in it? Honestly.
No,
when's the last time we talked about women's basketball without Pat Summitt?
Yeah, that's a good take. Heather, jump in.
I don't know about you, but I talk about it often.
Well, yeah, okay, we'll give it. And Louisville's got a good team. They're continuously in the top 20.
I disagree that it being this. To this degree.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, and Heather, you jump in, is that the Louisvilles, the Kentuckys, the South Carolinas, all of those other schools are playing for that. Class. Yeah, they're playing. They're second. They are true second. There's only one team on the first tier, and then everyone else is
right.
A step down.
And Heather? I love to say this. I love Matthew Mitchell, okay. And he's a personal friend of mine. But there is no way in hell that I would even put him in the same class as this. No way in hell.
Oh, Heather, wrap us up.
So I guess the question is, how do you get somebody to Gino's, how do you get someone to his level? Anybody have a guess?
I don't. I don't.
Wow. I mean, that stumps me, to be honest with you. Wow. That's a great question.
Yeah. Do you have an answer, Heather?
You know what? At the end of the day, the only thing that you can do, if you're a program that is recruiting against UConn, which is, by the way, I don't know if anybody has read anything. Gino says, "Hey, I don't recruit." He says he didn't recruit top talent, which I don't agree with. Of course he does, but it's kind of like the underhanded, I don't know what I'm doing. But at the end of the day, how do you recruit against a guy that not only continually, turns out the best talent, and how do you get them to buy into your program? And if you can find a counterpart to what Gino is doing at UConn, what is it? I don't know. It's weird. It's just an odd sticking point.
Well, here's what was weird odd about UConn. Do you realize at the beginning of the season, right before the season started, based on the polls, they were ranked third. They weren't ranked 1 or 2. So evidently these analysts, these geniuses, thought there was 2 better teams than UConn right now. Until my thing is that until I don't know, until something of catastrophic proportions happens, the safe bet is Geno and UConn. Why are you even? I mean, yeah, I, I don't think it's great for the sport, for the game, but I do see, Mandy, that you're saying that it does still. I mean that them winning that day was one of the first topics on Sports Center. So from that perspective,
right.
there's, but it's still
Headline.
UConn. It's still UConn, and then everyone else.
Everybody else.
Everybody else. All right. Okay. Daryl, you can wake up now. Shot number 3. Now that President-elect Donald Trump will be sworn in, what is it, January 20th? What is the day? Or 20th, 21st?
Friday.
Friday, right? The world comes to an
20th.
end.
Something like that. Depending on which side of the fence.
Dun,
Depending
dun,
on which side.
dun.
It's scarier than Friday the 13th.
Yeah. I get to start with Mandy
If it had been,
first.
do you imagine how that would happen?
Yeah. Start with Mandy, Heather, then Daryl. There are teams, there are sports personalities, sports stars, and this is where I'm getting at, is that the White House throw these ceremonies for acknowledging the winners of these major sporting events, and you got the Cubs are going to be going in there soon, winning the World Series, and you had some players from the Cubs who have come out and said that they will not attend. You've heard LeBron. If the whole, I could see, or I'm hearing that if it's Cleveland, they won't attend. What does this Mandy say to, what is this statement? What are the statement is all about here?
Well, I think one, it's a lack of vote of no confidence. If you want to be honest, what did he lose by 3 million in popular votes or popular? What was the votes there? Was it 3 million? So he was not truly elected. If you want to be honest, he was not elected. But I think, honestly, remember the whole Colin Kaepernick thing where the children were saying they followed suit with him? Do you remember that whole situation where we had little kids saying we're doing this whole thing, the Colin Kaepernick thing? Mm-hmm. I have a kid who decided he was doing the whole Colin Kaepernick thing. So and I explained to him, no, you're not doing that because that's disrespectful to the flag. Well, this is a whole different situation. This is about democracy. So my point being is now you've got a whole group of people who happen to tend to be African American who feel like they're not being represented in this whole situation because you have a president-elect, and I don't want to throw the race card in here, but we might as well call a pig a pig. So, sorry, Freudian slip there. Who tends to not represent minorities very well. And a lot of your athletes who are coming to the White House are minorities. And if you have a president who is not going to represent minorities, why the hell would you show up and say, hey, which when you show up to the White House, it assumes you're backing the person you're there for? Well, why would you show up and back someone who's not backing you? So if it's my kid and he is gonna, if I'm let's say LeBron's mom and he says, Mom, I'm not going, I'm saying don't go. I would 100%, back him and say, if you don't believe in that, don't go. And I think honestly, we're going to see a huge amount of athletes who are not going to go, whether it's minorities or, folks from different countries who are playing here for us, athletes who are not going to go and who are not going to make their visits to the president. They're just not going to go. I mean, he has set a precedence for himself already. I'm sure you saw what he wrote about John Lewis, who is a civil rights, but he did do something great for John Lewis, though. John Lewis's book is now on the New York Times bestseller list. So thank you, President-elect Trump,
Controversy
for putting him back on the New York Times bestseller. Yes.
Controversy creates cash.
Yes. So we appreciate that.
Let me switch to Heather. Heather, as soon as all this starts up where athletes or stars, decline the invitation to the White House, there's going to be some really cool tweets from Mr. Trump bashing and then can you imagine the Twitter wars with some of these sports personalities? But your take on
No, you know what? I expect Trump at some point to tweet out the nuclear codes because it's going to happen. But you know what? I again, and I'll be honest and be frank with most of our listeners tonight. I did not vote for Trump or Clinton because I thought both were terrible candidates, and I thought they were not going to do the best for the country. With that said, you know what? It's hard to without to be. I don't want to get in a political debate, because at the end of the day, if anybody has followed my Twitter feed the last couple of days, that's exactly what has happened. Whether you're a Trump supporter or a Hillary supporter, it is what it is. But you know what? This country is in trouble, and I don't care who you are or what side you are on. And until people can come together and form an idea that that can encompass everyone, and it just, I don't know, it kind of sucks. It just does. I mean, I have never seen a division more so than any other election until today. And you know what? Shame on the Republicans and the Democrats for nominating people who are polarizing and aren't in the best interest of the American people. I don't know what else to say beyond that.
Well, what I think it says is that that a lot of people bought into the notion that they were tired of the same old. Yeah. Daryl, with Trump, he's not a politician. He's a businessman, but he's also a TV guy. He's a con man too.
Reality.
I'm just, if anything, I'm hoping that the rumor that Dwayne Johnson said he would consider running in 2020 actually happens, because he'll win. He will win.
Because The Rock says he will win the presidency. Of course, right?
Because it'll be The Rock and Kanye against each other, and it will be amazing. It'll be fantastic. That'll be awesome.
Kanye.
The Rock against Kanye. Yes.
Your take,
the gold hair will be
Daryl.
amazing.
Yeah, Daryl, your take on the players skipping out on the White House ceremony.
Yeah, it's kind of like when people say celebrities and sports people and this and that shouldn't have opinions on politics. They should stick to sports or their celebrity life or this or that. They can't identify with real people. I kind of feel like, you're saying, people wanted to step outside of the norm of politics and what we think it's supposed to be or not supposed to be. And then we get something like Donald Trump, who says he's going to run the United States like a business. So I hate to say it, I don't believe the United States of America is a business. I think we are much more important than that. We have more value than that. You can't put a number, a value on States of America. So I think our athletes and even all four of us here right now are going to have opinions on it. We're going to feel strongly about it, and sometimes we will voice those opinions. There's plenty of outlets nowadays to voice them, whether it's in what we're doing on internet, what people do on their apps and their Twitter and their Facebook, sharing live videos and trying to become popular and be heard. Everybody wants to be heard. Sometimes I think when people come out and say they're not going to do this or that, it's not everything is a statement. Sometimes it's just a decision. One of the articles I saw, it was, the Cubs are going this week or this or that. So they'll be there when Obama is still in office. So there was a guy that spoke out saying, I'm not going to go. It was a very short article. I think it was Arietta. It wasn't, he says it's family issues. We don't need to turn it into something it's not. If he says family issues, let it be that. Let's not delve into something we want it to become and then say that we don't want it to become that, because we're making it that. So I'm not surprised that people will not go when Trump is in the House. I wouldn't go. Why would I put myself in that situation? I wouldn't go to his rallies because I don't agree with him and the people around him. So I just don't put yourself in a situation you don't want to be in. And Trump shouldn't take it personal, but he will. And then he'll call you out and call you irrelevant and say that you're not important, and we just need to get rid of this social media mindset and understanding that life does not revolve around 140 characters. There's more characters than that.
Saying it is one thing. Reality and doing it is another. The new reality TV show starts January 20th. It's already started, but officially season
I wouldn't be surprised if they come out
season
with it.
one.
I've already said I
Great
Season
analogy.
Yeah, and then at the end of 2017, Donald Trump is going to distribute his the season one, year one DVD package full of bloopers and all this good stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, and one more thing.
But Daryl,
just about.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say one more thing about Trump.
Go.
Winning the office, this or that. It goes back to this mentality that life is a game, and I just felt like game one was the election. Trump never thought about being the president. He didn't want to be the president. He just wanted to win.
You're right. Right.
And now he's
exactly
in charge of everyone's livelihood, and he's just giggling about taking it away.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
100% right. You're right. 100% correct.
Yeah, when George and Wheezy moved up to the big house, it's the total opposite for Donald, because he is going to be downgrading from the penthouse to the White House. Yeah, let's stay tuned.
And you know what's worse is if anything happened to him, we've got Mike Pence afterwards.
His niece, when I was a producer at Channel 18, I was his niece's producer. And let me tell you something, that family is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you talk about 6 degrees of separation. 6 degrees of separation. I am 6 degrees, and I don't want to admit that, but 6 degrees separated from Trump, and that's a little scary. So yeah, Mr. Pence's niece and I worked together for like 4 years at Channel 18. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
6 degrees. 6 degrees. Wait a minute, 6 degrees,
gave me
Mandy.
the chills. Oh, yeah.
Has the stuff ever been grabbed? It's a yes or no question, and then we'll move on.
6 degrees of my stuff?
Yours had ever been grabbed by the 6th degree. Okay. All right. Moving on.
No.
All right.
No.
Shot number 4.
Matt keeps his hands to himself.
Gosh, Matt. Daryl loves Matt, don't you, Daryl?
He's a good guy. Leave my baby alone.
Daryl. All right. Shot number 4, starting with Heather. The NBA announced their intentions or notions to start shortening games, and the reason for it was due to the attention span of the millennials. In a time where social media and Wi-Fi access and everything about technology today is now you got in this case the NBA starting to have this mindset that they've got to cater to in this case millennials, or attention spans and Wi-Fi and social media. Heather, I mean, what is the day and age of the sport, of any sport? How now it is. Yeah, go ahead.
You know what? That's a wonderful spin. But at the end of the day, and I agree with Charles Barkley, who said something last year that, in a quote, last year he said, the players don't love the game anymore. They just don't. And you know what? Adam, Silver can say whatever he wants, but as a basketball fan in general, I do not watch the NBA until they get to the finals. I just don't, because before finals, nobody cares. It's like a garbage dump of basketball. It's like glorified AAU pickup, whatever you want to say, and it sucks. It's hard to watch. And again, like Charles Barkley said, it is hard to watch because the kids don't love the game. Period. They just don't.
Now, Daryl, kids, a lot of kids who are playing the game now, the NBA game, old school guys knock the kids today because it's so more finesse and it's not as physical Now, Daryl, I don't even know. I don't even think you were born during the Bad Boys of Detroit days, were you? Do you even remember that? Do you even know who Isaiah Thomas, Rick Mahorn, Bill Laimbeer are? Yes,
Oh,
he
listen,
is.
here. I am young, and I was going to ask you how old you all think I am and what you consider a millennial to be, and if that would be me. But no, I wasn't alive yet, but my only reference to Detroit basketball was Dennis Rodman, and I read his book a couple years ago. What was it called? The one where he's naked on the cover of it? Oh, Bad As I Want to Be. That's the book. It was awesome. He talked about how important defense was and how he decided to make that his game. He went through a lot of crazy stuff, and that's why he was a crazy person. But what was the question? If I know who the Bad Boys were?
I don't even know.
Well, I wanted to touch on the NBA millennials thing because you mentioned Adam Silver, and I really like Adam Silver a lot. I think, some of his first couple months he was making those, what was Donald's name down at the Clippers? The owner that was being racist? Yeah.
Sterling.
So, like, he was making moves, and he's trying to keep the NBA moving as a business, okay?
Mm-hmm.
As far as the length of the game and blaming millennials' attention span, that goes back to the 140 characters mindset that we live in, the bumper sticker phrases, the easy to repeat kind of things. And I don't know why they say that, because that championship game on Monday night, wasn't that at 4 hours and 40-minute long game after they finished that one? So we have the ability dedicate that much time, but like you said, the lack of effort at this point in the season is not there from our product. And I want to get your all's Kentucky opinion, because I think maybe this could have played into that, where these younger kids come in, their mentality, and they're fully supported by Coach Cal, that they're going to be there this amount of time. And I thought that the next question has to do with Cal's recruiting tactics, but this microwave culture that we live in is to just keep moving. What's the next best thing?
There you go. And the NBA game has developed into for the most part, a D-League varsity group of kids. And that's the NBA. That's the rule of the NBA. The NBA says, you can be a certain age, and the money, everything about the NBA right now or actually really all pro sports, the money is just insane. These kids, I don't know.
I saw one of those stats, Kevin, that Kentucky was using for recruiting on ESPN.
I saw that too. I was going to
counting. Yeah, the numbers, the contracts, and that seems just kind of superficial to me. And especially, Heather, you said you were kind of bored with the NBA until the finals. These are the guys that, Kentucky is pumping out, and they praise that they got 25 recruits in this many years. But when they get there, they're not loving the game.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
Yeah, I'll challenge it.
I know some of these guys. I know some of these guys personally, and I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I don't know about them not loving the game, but I don't know about that. These guys eat, breathe, and sleep, and even when they're in town here, they're playing pickup games. No, they love it in the NBA. They love it there. So you really think that John Wall smacked somebody across the face because he didn't love being in the game? You really think that he sacrificed $25,000 of his cash because he didn't want to be in the game? That's crazy. That's asinine.
I think they do love the game. I was playing off the comment of saying that the NBA players are bored until the finals, and that's why they're trying to make a change. So I
think millennials in general, I think the original question was if we're speeding up the game. There was a study that I did when I was in college in mass communications about the 15-minute SpongeBob rule. Most people can handle things in 15-minute increments, and that's what most millennials attention span is. And if you notice, SpongeBob has 15 minutes, essentially movies for 15 minutes. And that's what we can handle before we lose our attention span. So if you notice, SpongeBob is 15 minutes, and most increments of TV spans are I guess you could say segments of TVs are 15 minutes, and that's the most that we can handle at a time before we need a break in our mental capacity. So I think if one of the things that the NBA, hopefully that what they're suggesting is that they'll either span it out for 15 minutes or something of that nature, but I don't think to say that the kids that are coming out and playing NBA, or especially the kids that I know that are coming, I mean, John Wall and Boogie, I mean, especially Boogie, I don't think that he's getting that many times for him not loving the game, or especially him I mean, I know him personally, he loves the game, still loves the game. He's so much of a kid, he loves the game. These guys that are coming out, I mean, I know a lot of them personally, and I can't tell you how much they still love the game. And this misnomer about this one and done, if you have the capacity at 18 years old to change your family's lives, I think there's this whole thought of coming to Kentucky. You're 18. Go ahead. You do your thing. You do your thing, and then I'll touch base on that.
Good. You're taking us to the next segue, and I'll wrap up the last little shot. Was that
you wrap it up, and then I'll go there. Yeah, go ahead.
We veered off a little bit because the question or topic was how the NBA was shortening the games because of millennials, fans, not players, the people who are watching or trying to be engaged.
I have the short attention. If you have met my husband, I'm surprised that we've been married 15 years because he has such a short attention span. I change clothes every 5 minutes to make sure he knows he's with a different woman. How about that? That's how much of attention span.
All right. Here's the next shot. The next shot, I get to start with Daryl first because of the flow. 1.5 duns was the topic, where Bleacher Report put out this article how John Calipari, our Kentucky coach, has now starting to infiltrate the players who are eligible, who've completed their high school requirements and can move on to college, during a college season. So then thus the 1.5 duns. We got a big time recruit, 5-star recruit come in, who is getting to practice with the team. And as I mind you, as a Kentucky fan, our practices, the competition in our practices is better than most of the competition in our games. So that's priceless right there. But the fact that he's tapping into a source now where kids can get away from high school, come into college early. Daryl, it doesn't sound like you're a big fan of how Calipari recruits, but he is recruiting based on the way the NBA's collective bargaining has agreed that players, age-wise, are eligible. So when I threw this topic at you, what was your take?
Actually, my first reaction was like something along the lines of, that's so Cal. Like, of course you're not going to recruit a guy and say, hey, you might be here a season and a half. Instead, you're going to do a half-season prequel prior to your season. So on his part, he's bending the rules, trying to see how far he can push them, like he does. This is his tactic. I've come to terms with accepting that this is what he's going to do. He's going to come up with a new system every year or so. Like, we had the platoon for a while, and we're going to catchphrase it, and we're going to repeat it 1,000,000 times. And a part of me says, whoa, you want to bring a 17-year-old on campus sooner so he can start practicing? While, yeah, that sounds ideal, but it's still just a kid. And it's just kind of convenient how this sort of thing happens for the athletes, that they can graduate early. They can go ahead and go to their next to their campus for the 6 months they're going to play, or the year and a half now, one and done kind of thing. I think it plays right into that mentality that we want to get you in, we want to get you out, move you on to the NBA. But for some reason, we can't admit if you are actually a 2-season player, that it probably means because you weren't good enough to go to the league after one season. And I think we're still kind of scared of that mentality. We don't know how to approach it. We don't know how to come to terms with whether we believe it or not. I think everybody's still just kind of on the fence. while Cal still does his number one recruiting class and then, number one draft players, in the draft. It's we talked about it. We touched on it last week about the SEC. He should be doing more with these teams, but he's going to push the buttons as far as he can and see till somebody says stop, until he gets to that UConn level or the UCLA level, the women's UConn, of course. But just a bit. I'm not hating on it. Just my opinion. My reaction is that's SoCal.
All right, Mandy. We as Kentucky fans get our knocks on how Cal he takes advantage of the rules. So where Daryl was saying that
where have I heard that before?
Well, where Daryl was saying that he's bending the rules, I don't think he's bending the rules. It's either
no,
it's
I'm
a yes
saying it's
or no.
Like Trump. He says, I'm going to see how far I can go with this. You made the rules. I call it smart. Just kind of that same mentality.
Okay, fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
But all right,
yeah,
Mandy,
fair.
You go ahead. You jump in.
Well, and I'm gonna let you in on a secret here. Cal's not the only UK coach who does that here at Kentucky. There's a football kid on campus who is a Lexington kid who is a football recruit who's on campus right now, who I'm friends with, who is doing the same thing that Cal did with this 1.5 dunner. I mean, so Cal's not the only coach that's doing that. He's the only one that's being announced that he's doing it. So this misnomer that Cal is, it's being done everywhere. It's just because Cal is Cal that it's being named. So I hate that he gets so much publicity about it, but it just kind of sucks. But Cal's a mastermind, and if you were in his presence for more than 5 or 10 minutes, you want to soak him up. I wish, and I have told people to do this. He needs to do a 5-minute mastermind minutes and charge people $2.99 a day for just a Cal minute, and he would make thousands of dollars. He does. He is just such he is such a motivator, and he is so, I don't know if he's manipulative or whatever he does to get these people to do whatever he wants to do. But look, the numbers, what did they show the other day on ESPN? $1.7 billion that he has created. Seriously, he is amazing. He's fantastic. He really is.
Yeah, and that's where, his critics will say that he's bringing them in and then rolling them out. He's only doing what the NBA is allowing him
wishes
to do.
They could do.
Because here,
and
right.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So let me throw this to Heather. Mandy was mentioning there was during the Kentucky Auburn game, which, by the way, Auburn has a player who did the same thing, came in during the season, only in this case, Bruce Pearl is actually playing him. So there's another scenario. But the graphic, the comment that she was making about the numbers were staggering, is that during Cal's tenure, his players have in excess of 1.3 or something billion dollars and all these first round. But here's the thing, Heather, if the NBA, the executives, all of the brains of the NBA says, 4 or 5 of your Kentucky players are going to be first round players and going to be guaranteed this crazy money for 3 years because of the first round. I know that's just how it is, so again, until the NBA changes something, Cal's just playing by that rule of, thumb.
I think it also boils down to jealousy. It's kind of like the people who came up with macaroni and cheese first. It was so good and so delicious, you got to find a carbon copy, but you still aren't just good enough. Nobody's just good enough to make it right. So he's macaroni and cheese. That's the way it is.
Well, and the thing is, not every coach can do that. And with due respect, Coach Pitino, I'm a Pitino guy because of what he did for Kentucky during his tenure. I will always appreciate Pitino. But Pitino has made it clear he's not physically or mentally able to do what Cal does every year as far as reloading. Coaches can't do it. Coach K is showing he can do it. Bill Self at Kansas is showing he can do it. But the numbers are crazy at Kentucky. Heather, jump in. I'm waiting for you to give us your take.
So, you know what I tell folks that, consistently, I don't know, criticize Calipari is that you have a guy that will take talent or young talent year in and year out, and he will make them a competitor. So who else do you have on your docket that will do the same thing? You can't. I mean, who? Who is the other coach? Anybody?
No,
Nobody.
You're right. You're 100% right. Was that a chicken?
But you know what? The good thing that, I don't think Calipari gets enough credit for is that he consistently takes talent, and it doesn't matter what level they are. He makes them play to his level. I mean, who does that? Anybody?
No, but there is a sort of luxury to having, I think these consistent guys that you can count on. I think honestly, for my mental health, if I had to go through new guys and keep repeating myself, same things over and over, it would wear down my mental health. So I think the maturity level's there. I think that it is brave of Cal to do such. But as we've alluded to many times, it's just going to keep going on until it turns into something bigger than everybody wants it to be. Everybody wants the NCAA tournament to be a competition. We don't want the number one overall seed to win it every time and it to be the consistent number one.
And we have it. And we have it. Darn, I say that in just, as a fan in disgust, but we have it. So,
yeah.
All right. Do we?
What up?
We jumping off the Kentucky soapbox here. I don't want to make this show about.
I hope
never.
I hope so.
Oh, Daryl, I hope so.
Be quiet, Daryl. Be quiet.
Have you all buddied up on Facebook? I know you all were like.
No, I don't know. Did you friend me on Facebook?
I think so. Or Twitter, or one of them.
Okay,
right.
Twitter's good.
Okay, all right, here we go. Let's see. Final shot of the night. This is where I ask the panel to give us a sport thought topic of their choice and just, shoot from the hip and share your thoughts on something that, is near and dear to you. And I'll start with Mandy.
Wow, you got me off cuff. If I had to think of anything, it would be, I'm going to stick on the subject of the half-tons. I would say that I think it's a fantastic idea. I will leave you with this. If there is a 17-year-old out there who can get a 6-month jump on providing millions for his family, I would go for it. I have an 18-year-old right now, stepson, and he plays tennis, and if he could get a 6-month jump on going out there and making millions for my family so that I do not have to work, I would much appreciate that. I think it's a fantastic idea, and if he could at any point get pointers or early college education, there's so much benefit to 6 months of extra education and 6 months of professional instruction. That's just an added benefit. That's my thought.
Let's see, Heather. Heather,
so can we? Yeah. So can we talk about Ezekiel Elliott for a minute?
Go for
Anybody?
it. It's your minute.
I don't
It's your minute.
Yeah. So you know what? I feel bad for the kid. At the end of the day, the NFL earlier, I don't know if anybody saw this or not, but they mentioned that they were still investigating the domestic abuse allegations against Ezekiel Elliott. Here's the problem.
Right.
And I am so for women to stand up for themselves. And you know what? If a dog is going to be a dog, you need to make him a dog. But at the end of the day, this girl, I don't know how to say this without offending anybody, but he...
radio, say it.
Yeah, I know. She said, and here's the problem I had, especially when it came to reading all the police reports. She said, you know what? He threw me up against the wall. He did everything, so on and so forth. But you know what she failed to mention? That she was in a bar fight the night that she filed her final police report. And when she tagged him in an Instagram post, you know, about her injuries, it was consistent with her being in a bar fight. Her knuckles were bruised up. And it's like, you know what? As a girl that has a really hard problem with girls that make the rest of us look bad at the end of the day, you know what? You're doing a disservice. And I don't like, it's a struggle for me, because you cannot, at the end of the day, you cannot make false accusations. And to me, it's clear that the girl against Ezekiel Elliott did. I don't know what else to say. It sucks.
No, yeah. It's a for celebrities, sports stars, whatever, their profile is so high. So it is a fine line for those gals to walk. And I'm about as popular as I want to be because of this podcast. Any more popular, I don't want to be, because I don't want the press to start uncovering all the shit that I've been through in the past. So,
Right.
Daryl, you got a final thought for us? Final shot?
Yeah, I was going to say about Elliot. Of course, that information came out today. You know, like.
Exactly.
The timing is impeccable. It's stupid. I'm with you. I'm tired of the false accusations. We saw it in Louisville with Chris Jones, and how he was just done for after that. Everybody was so quick to accuse him. And to just, you put it out there on social media. People are irresponsible. We have way too much power. You can't just tag somebody on the internet, say they did this and that. If it was genuine, I feel like you would have better sense than to put it out there like that. If it's in the newspapers, it's not your own doing. But if you're tagging somebody on the internet like that, you're looking for attention that you missed somewhere, and you're doing it in your bar fights, and you're doing it on game days. It's not, and like you said, it makes everybody else look bad. But this is the media too, and our responsibility. Why are we talking about this right now? You know what I mean? We shouldn't be talking about it because it's not a story. It's a non-story, and this is how people who get so many Twitter followers spread this sort of negative energy to everybody. And this is one of the things I felt with Louisville and Katina Powell. We're so quick to say, yes, they did this or that, or oh my God, sex is so wrong, but with the violence and the false accusations from women, it's pulling on all these strings in all these directions that it's just gonna explode. And I think that there needs to be a serious push from every one of us to get past this, because it's a real issue in basketball and football and everyday life that we don't even know about because they're not famous athletes who have Twitter accounts. So it's an issue from both sides, men and women.
You know, Daryl, I love you like a daughter because you are young enough to be my daughter. But here's my take on that. My take is that it's not going away anytime soon because social media continues to evolve every flipping day. And there are those that it's all about, it's a clickbait thing, you know, put it out there, get the traffic. Just
get people here first. We don't even care if we're right. That's what's wrong. That's why I don't like Matt Jones in KSR.
What?
She brought me. All right, hold that thought.
Well, thanks for having me. It was nice meeting you guys.
Hold on, Mandy. Hold on.
We almost lasted that long.
Yeah, check this out. I had a friend of mine, actually a couple of people messaged me on Facebook about my show, the Sunday night show. And they're like, I've noticed, Kevin, you're doing a sports show and your panel has been all women, chicks. And I'm like, yeah. And then I'm like, they're like, you can't find guys to do it. I'm like, no, because I'm a fucking
Oh, what the
genius.
fuck
I've
does
got,
that mean?
yeah, yeah, and that's what it.
Yeah,
And I was like,
last
no, I'm a
resort
fucking
here.
genius. I'm a genius because I've got chicks with looks and brains, and it's gonna be a fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying.
That's good stuff.
That's
Good stuff.
that's how I roll. But Daryl, what's kind of neat on tonight's show, we continue to do, what we continue to prove is how much love there is for BBN and L1C4. It's just genuine.
Yeah, we have, like I said,
Yeah.
we've done this every week and been on your show a couple times.
You have.
I pray for Louisville people.
Do you? We.
Mm-hmm.
Carol and I are in the 502. She represents a different side of it than I do, but it's all good. Still a good town, good city.
It's all good over here. Perfectly happy.
Yeah.
Duke win
I wanted
today.
here's before I let you all go, I wanted to ask, during a sporting event, games or whatever, there are certain things that just drive me flipping crazy. And so what I want to do is come up with some quirky last topic to throw at the panel. And tonight, I want all of us to share some of our sport pet peeves. And here's one. I'll start it. I was watching the Vanderbilt Kentucky game. Kentucky is beating Vanderbilt on the road towards the end of the game. And granted, it's not a blowout. Vanderbilt played pretty well. Kentucky didn't play as well. But the crowd start chanting overrated at the end of the game, right before Malik Monk was going to go shoot some free throws to help seal the win. But it was like, I'm thinking, are you fucking kidding me? You're chanting overrated and you're losing. Now I can see them chanting if you're winning.
Right.
They're chanting.
Those are the same
Yeah,
people
so-
that'll brush the floor afterwards.
Exact. There you go. So that's one pet peeve. I'll start. Heather, give me a pet peeve. Something that drives you crazy during a sporting event.
People talking, a bunch of shit that clearly they can't back up. Vanderbilt, you're on notice. I don't know what else to say. Yeah.
What about Daryl? What's your pet peeve?
I got a few. Some of them
Sure.
are like by myself, things that I do that gets on my nerve, like wear green pants to work when we play Notre Dame that day, like that kind of shit. And then for as far as other people at games, I went to a basketball game last year, not like last season, but 2016, just a couple months ago. And there was two girls, and I know game etiquette, football, basketball, one and the other. One, you stand at football games, and you play off the rest of the crowd at the basketball game. Game day respect. There was just these two girls that were like standing in front of a lot of people when not everyone in front of them was standing at all. They were talking to each other, weren't even paying attention to the game, and people just had to keep moving. It was annoying. Just sit down. It's so much easier. And the other pet peeve is when people explain the game to me when I'm there, like commentate or say why they did this or that.
Oh,
It's kind of like I know why they did it. Thanks, man. It's somebody I don't even know. Like I can talk to people I know, but just somebody I don't even know. Like feels like I need help understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Super annoying.
All right. Mandy, give us one.
My pet peeve is at Rupp Arena, and my husband thinks this is so petty. At Rupp Arena, okay, so there's the bench, and then there's the really expensive seats, right behind the bench. When there's some child below the age of 7 or 8 sitting in the seats that are like $4,000. Why are you sitting there? You're picking your nose, and you don't even know there's a basketball game on. Why are you sitting there? You don't need to be sitting there. Why are you in those seats?
Right. It
Why
drives
are you
me
there?
crazy.
You don't need to be there.
I will question. I say to myself, if I see a kid at a ball game, especially in the good seats, asleep, I'm thinking, how fucking loud is it at your house that you have to go to a ball game to fall asleep? It must be crazy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So sometimes when we go to Rupp, we'll walk past those seats, like going to and I'm like, why are there children in those seats? The people are getting up and walking and getting them ice cream. And those people who sit in those seats can't even enjoy the game because they're walking back and forth with their nannies or whatever, getting ice. I'm like, just don't even bring them. Give those tickets away. Don't
That's
sit
a great.
there.
That one I like. That one I like.
She said with her nanny.
Yes, I'm not even kidding. I'm not even kidding.
They'll be like,
I can't stop laughing.
that's a good
Not even their parents.
Here's the
Not
other
even
one.
their parents.
Here's another one of my.
But she's right.
Here's
That's
another
the
one of my
sad part. She is so right.
Right.
I'm so
all right,
right.
I gotta
You're not even their parents who are taking them to the game.
Right. Here's one more pet peeve I got to throw out. There's nothing that drives me crazy. And actually, I saw this. I think it was a Louisville game. Louisville was there. I don't know, one of their latest road games. Was it Pittsburgh? I don't know, but I don't know where that game was. Was it? It was one of the last Louisville games on the road. Louisville won the game, but when they show the camera shows the fans, and in this case it was the Louisville opponent, their fans. When they get on the camera and start proclaiming that they're number one, they're losing. One, they're not even close to being them. That drives me crazy too. I'm like, sit down and shut up. That all right.
Yeah.
So, it's
100%.
purging. We're purging tonight. All right. Any other good pet peeves before I let you ladies get back to your significant others? Because you've all exhausted me for 90-some minutes.
No, I think I'm good.
Daryl, you good?
Well, I mean, the normal Grayson Allen is annoying, but at least we'll look at the victory there.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
And there was still drama. There was still drama with Grayson yesterday, right?
Did you say there was none?
No, there was still drama with Grayson.
He punked the end. He's the punk the end.
We're going to pick anything and everything he does for the next couple months. So, I mean, if he wants to go that route, I mean, I guess he's going to play rather than he's not going to, ban himself from the season. Like I said before, ACC screwed up there, yeah. But there was that one incident with Donovan Mitchell where he pulled him down, hooked his arm, pulled him down. Right. Donovan was like,
Donovan
I was worried that he wasn't going to be
him.
able to catch himself, and he was going to break his other
Donovan
arm, something like that.
Donovan slapped him in the face.
Whooping.
Well,
he does need to get
bringing
his
his arm back around, and his face was in the way. So, yeah, that's how that went.
His face was in the way, exactly. Kind of like how when Boogie Cousins gave the Louisville player the elbow, his face was in the way. Swapshire, yeah. I digress.
Right. Yeah.
All right. Hey, before we let everyone go, Daryl, you've got your sports talk show. Tell us about that in your social media.
Yep, it's Kentucky Women Talk Sports. It's every Saturday at 1 o'clock on 970 a.m. You can follow us on our Twitter page at KYWomen_sports. We have our most up-to-date stuff there. Or me, I'll give out a little opinions, but I'm a lot more sometimes censored on my own because I know not to say things I wouldn't want everyone to see anymore, but that's at Daryl Foust 4. And then if you want to follow like my crazy thoughts, you can follow my hat. It's at Daryl Pink Hat.
The D4. Mandy, I mean, you're a former TV reporter, producer. Are you not doing that at all anymore?
No, I'm not. I let Ryan handle all that crazy radio stuff. Now I'm a mom, and I wrangling those boys. I went with them to Florida to the bowl game, wrangling those boys, and I go to the SEC tournament and all that stuff. So cool. I wrangle them and do all that stuff when I can. I get my hand in it every now and again. And when Matt's show, he does that Hey Kentucky, I associate produce that when their main producer is gone. So cool. I still have my hand in it occasionally. So that's it.
Very cool. Social media, if at
Mandy Lemond, just Mandy Lemond. But I'm a mortgage loan officer by day, so if you need any money, I'm there to lend it to you.
Appreciate that. Yeah.
If Donald Trump
Heather,
doesn't have any interest rate.
Heather, your social media.
At Heather Tungate 7 on Twitter. I'm kind of an ordinary girl. My husband's looking at me right now like, what are you doing? We have no kids at the house. I don't know. No, I do now.
So what are you doing now? What are you do we want to stay on the line a little longer, Heather? If you want, Heather, just put
not at all.
The girls, Daryl and Mandy can hang up. Keep me on the phone. Just set the phone by the nightstand.
You know what? Honestly, my husband is he's very tolerant. But at the end of the day, he's looking at me like, girlfriend, let's do this.
Let's do it. I hear you. I'm all about.
Yeah.
I got bro code in place. So yeah, let's shut this down. Let's get Heather's husband, give him the time tonight. Ladies, you came on, you killed it. Good stuff tonight. Appreciate your all's time. Mandy, welcome to our jungle.
Well, I love it. Thanks, guys, for inviting me in. I appreciate it.
All right, good stuff. Ladies, have a good night. All right.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
All right, killing it with the ladies tonight. Shooting round of sports shots. That's what it is. Different kind of night. Sunday nights, talk sports. We were a little dove into a lot of different things tonight, and you could still feel the Kentucky Louisville vibe. Oh, that is a good thing. This state is so cool when it comes to our sports. It is a college sport state. The rivalry between Louisville and Kentucky is over the top. And in basketball, I will fucking challenge that rivalry against Duke, North Carolina. That's how we roll. In the 502 and the 606 for Mandy, and the 270 for some other people. In closing, social media, follow us on iTunes, YouTube, subscribe there, please. Shooting from the Lip, Twitter at the Shooting Lip, my Twitter at KevinHale423. You can like us, follow us on Facebook and Instagram, Shooting from the Lip. We will be doing another show Monday night, tomorrow night, and Tuesday night. Monday night, I'll it's our eclectic mix of guests. Russ and Sean will be on to do our version of Round of Shots, mostly about Trump and the whole political thing that's going on right now. Tuesday night, Greg Unthank joins me for our show dedicated to local music here in the Louisville area. So for Heather Tungate, Daryl Foust, Mandy Lemond, I'm Kevin Hale. We bid you a good night and a pleasant Monday. Monday being a holiday, Martin Luther King Day. Everyone take care. Peace out.